Graphic Metal is sponsored by the Organization of Open-Mindedness, NTBTSP, not to be taken seriously or personal, and Green Snoopy, cause why not? Life is supposed to be fun. We pick up our story in the fall of '85. Mike, John, and John were steaming with chemistry, spending late nights together in an intimate room somewhere on the Berklee College of Music campus. And on one of those late nights, John P.S. John M., this is fun, but you know what we should do? We should call up that buddy Kevin of ours and that other strange funny-looking kid Chris from back home. Naturally, John M. says nothing, but nods his head either in agreement or because he is busy jamming on his bass. Mike, you cool with that? Let's do it. But the Chris kid, yeah, we gotta make him an addition if he's gonna be the singer. They call him up, make Chris audition, and now, as a team of 5, they were like, screw school, or in Chris's case, screw the military. Yeah, Chris was actually supposed to arrive at the U.S. Marine Corps base that week, but he never showed up. Man, these kids, I tell you. So, the 5 of them drop out of school or military, and now are officially a band. But what are they gonna call themselves? Glass Her? Glass Her? Glass Her? No, you fool, it's not Glass Her, it's Glasser. This is The Impossible Truth About Dream Theater, Part 2 of 12, A Fortune in Lies, by Graphic Metal. An original career documentary about the band as they celebrate their 40th anniversary. Along the way, we will showcase all their albums, the deeper meaning of their album covers. Plus, we are going to reimagine all of them front to back. And we even turn this into a game for all of you to play and a chance to win all those new designs and merch that we made. Wait, glass hair? No, Glasser. Dude, that makes no sense. I don't know, but this song is majestic. Oh, it totally is. Wait, we should call ourselves Majestic. I don't know, man, that doesn't sound very metal. Okay, how about Majesty? Far out, totally. All for Majesty? Now, as Majesty, they picked up whatever shows they could in the area and proceeded to record and release their first EP of original songs entitled The Majesty Demos. Naturally, they didn't expect any reaction, but to their surprise, the initial run of 1,000 albums were sold, all of them, in just 6 months. None more important than the copy Mike sent to Jim Mathias of the band Fate's Warning. You see, it was easy to decide who to send a copy to, given there was literally only 2 other bands, well, if you count the band that brought us Rage for Order, that is, you could possibly think of that even played a relatively similar-ish style as they were trying to go for. So the demo was a raging success. Most kids would be stoked, right? Not these kids. Their reaction was, damn guys, we are good. But you know who sucks? Our singer. So they fired Chris. Damn gents, that's cold, even for dropout kids. But at least Chris accomplished something before being canned. He is the only person ever to get into a fight with John M. So Chris, congrats. That is a hell of an accomplishment. But you're out, and their search for a new singer began, foreshadowing and all. A year went by, cause, spoiler alert, they are picky and stubborn as all hell. But when this old guy in Charlie Dominici auditioned in November of 1987, they figured, why not? If we don't like him, at least he can get his beers, into parties, and in with the ladies, which was important as the other guys were still only 19. With beers now in hand, the band upped the number of shows and started getting more attention. But with that new exposure came legal action against them, as there was already a band using the name Majesty from Las Vegas. For the record, I think they are damn lucky this happened. Look, as if the band doesn't already get picked on enough for being pretentious. Bow down to your majesty. Most certainly would have made things infinitely worse. But Majesty never went away, actually. Behind the scenes, they still call themselves as such, and their fans identify themselves as Yetzis, which is the start of Majesty backwards. And even the band logo is in fact their old Majesty symbol. That symbol, by the way, can be found on most of their album art covers. Quick, can you guess which ones? Ah, fooled ya. It actually is found on all of them. But we promise to show you that later on, so stay tuned. But the craziest part of the Majesty symbol is that it was created by Charlie, the guy they just hired as their second vocalist, who was so proud of it and excited to be the front man of the band. He got the damn thing tattooed on his arm. But this enthusiasm irked the rest of the band, and when their debut album came out and was a critical and commercial failure, what did they do? They blamed Charlie and fired him too. Sadly, Charlie actually passed away in 2023 for still undisclosed reasons, so that is extra somber news. Here's to you, Charlie. At least you will always be remembered being heard on the debut and for the band's logo they still use today. Yeah, sure guys, just dig in the wound even farther, why don't ya? The Majesty symbol, by the way, was inspired by Mary Queen of Scots' mark, which consists of 3 Greek letters all as one at Phi, Mu, and Lambda. Rewinding back a little further, so the band didn't want to get sued by the band in Las Vegas, so the search for a new band name began. Glasser, Magus, and M1 were considered, with Glasser being chosen. But it didn't last long before fans just absolutely hated it and refused to even acknowledge it. I mean, do you blame them? Can you imagine being in a crowd of people and chanting, Glasser, Glasser, Glasser? No, you fool, it's not Glasser, it's Glasser. Moving on, the Dream Theater was actually suggested by Portney's father, which was the name of a small theater in Monterey, California, and he thought it would be cool. The band agreed, and so into the night, they shall now be forth called the Dream Theater. Actually, guys, wait. We should get rid of them, or maybe they'll want to sue us too. Okay, Dream Theater it is. In case if you were wondering, the Dream Theater was a prominent building located at the corner of Prescott and Lighthouse in Monterey, California on Cannery Row, and fit perfectly with the area's bohemian subculture during the 70s. It was built and owned by John Harris and Alan Weber. Besides the memories and magic of the movies being displayed within its walls, the outside was known for its larger-than-life, colorful stained glass sign and painting of Anne Margaret, which was a nod to the fact that the two were dancers for her. Supposedly, the two fought over if the sign would have lights, as if mostly because of the expense factor, but with lights it had. Alan worked with craftsman Dan Holfers, Dan Malone, Tom McCarvey, and others to design it. I must say, it is truly marvelous and an iconic work of art. It's a shame I can't say the same about the art of the band, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. And remember, we got you covered. Unfortunately, nothing in this world lasts. The Dream Theater building was demolished in 2002, shortly after John and Alan sold it in 2000. Why is it that this always happens whenever an owner sells? Mavericks. Back to the band. When Dream and Day unite, the band's debut album, which was released 36 years ago since the recording of this video on March 6, 1989, was like we mentioned a critical and commercial bomb. This includes the god-awful art cover. Sure, I know it was the late 80s and oftentimes was filled with cheesy art, but this is really bad. I call it the perfume ad. Seriously, every time I look at it, I immediately think of an ad or a commercial for a perfume like Chanel or something. Thankfully, David Lynch already started to direct some of them around at that time, so I can visualize something really cool. As for the album cover, no one to this day really seems to know the story behind it, other than the fact that most likely the idea came from Mechanic, the record label. The photo was taken by Amy Gibb, and the guy being photographed was in fact a classmate of the band's at college in Steve Berman. I am only imagining that Steve followed up on a flyer posted on a wall for painters looking for nude models. Either that, or the band was tasked with going back to the school grounds and find the most attractive looking guy they could find. In any case, I can't decide which is more embarrassing, being Steve on this album cover or the baby on Nevermind. What do you think? As for what the hell the idea was for it, odds are it was an attempt to capture a person caught between Dream and an awake state. Like Steve was being asked to lay down and pretend like he was sleeping, and then suddenly wake up and something bizarre is about to happen. And his expression was to depict the feeling like he doesn't know if he is dreaming or not. That strange, uncomfortable, bizarre act is being depicted by someone about to mark Steve with the Majesty symbol. The symbol is read as a half-assed attempt in representing that the iron tool was hot and just off the burning flame. So whoever's idea it was, sure, theoretically it made sense. And if executed correctly, it could have not only been interesting, but would have fit right at home with Prague music, as Prague visually was always about mystery, abstraction, and often juxtapositions between, bizarre different, things coming together. It was poorly executed and almost unanimously disliked by even the loyalist of Yahtzee fans. At least it introduced us to the Majesty symbol. That's about all it did.
Alright, so for the graphic metal redesign concept, naturally it came with a bunch of different ideas and concepts, but to save time on this episode, I'll explore the idea of putting the whole behind the scenes explanations and all different options at the end of this episode. Otherwise, maybe it's a separate episode or it's a membership only exclusive type situation. So this is my preferred number one option for the time being. All right, back to the laying down position. Okay, what about, maybe it's kind of like more abstract, maybe it's hidden inside like a pattern of some sort. I definitely like the idea of, I remember the part of the theme is that juxtaposition between realism, awake, and, dream state. So gotta capture that. So best thing to do there is to incorporate nature to some degree or some kind of realism in addition to abstraction. So maybe trees, like a trunk of tree is always good to blend things in. So maybe I could get like an eye of some sort like interjected in there and then flip it so this way and manipulate a little bit more. So this way you can't really make it out. And then you're not really sure if it's even an eye, and if it is, like what kind of eye, where is it coming from? Because then that kind of feels like the visual imaginative element. And then to pay off even more of the realism, I like the idea of like a passage of a journey, time, like flow. So could use like a janky like road or just a road itself to like nothing or to like mountains, because mountains also kind of feel like dreamy, or a desert. No, I don't want to do desert because that's coming down the road. So yeah, maybe try like either nothing or mountains. Again, having that upside down, so this way it's kind of like almost like representing like downward. So it's like you're in sleep state. You're like kind of like mushrooms. You're weighted down. Sleeping, or are you or are you not? Okay, all right. That's interesting to explore. For the backside, I still love the use of the hands. And maybe like a few different hands to kind of make it feel like you're, fading away, you're touching dream state, so I still like that, and it's still good for the backside, if nothing else, because then it's like, maybe make that one not quite as abstract, so this way you can have both sides. And then it's like, I always like when the front cover and the back cover is almost like different options for people to use to kind of lay it out, like to display. I always like that too, so I still like that idea.
Back to the band. The album was recorded in mid-1988 at Kajem Victory Studios in Gladwin, Pennsylvania, notable for the recording of Operation Minecraft by You Know Who, and the whole process took just about 3 weeks. And again, unlike the Majesty demos, which led them and the label to think it was going to be a hot debut, it sold poorly and was panned by the critics. About the only thing good anyone could say about it was the fact that the band at least already started to get recognized for their talent. But that almost seemed to get used against them, at least at that time, as the consensus was it was way over the top, impossible to digest, and there's that word you're going to hear a lot: pretentious. And as we already mentioned, what do? They brushed it off and just blamed their singer. But this time around, they didn't just fire their singer. No. These are stone cold kids. They had the balls too. They hit that like button and subscribed. Now, find out what other deviant act they did on the next chapter of The Impossible Truth About Dream Theater, Part 3, The Miracle Moon, which will arrive shortly or is already here and available for you to click on now. Until then, I'm Veer Von Wright, and you're watching Graphic Metal. Cheers and keep on rocking.